Hello everyone, this is Abhinanda Chakraborty. I am from Presidency University, Kolkata, India, and for the next few minutes, I'll be discussing about the black hole mass and accretion disk connection with jet through an analysis of radio loud and radio quiet quasars. Okay, so let's begin. So we know that most of the galaxies contain a supermassive black hole in its center, and but some galaxies which contain supermassive black holes that accrete masses from its surroundings are known as AGN or active galactic nuclei. We could see in the right hand side a schematic diagram of an AGN, where at the span we could see different parts of an AGN here, and this is from the Uri and Padavani 1995, and we could see at the center there is a supermassive black hole, and around the black hole there is a accretion disk. Jet is coming out of the black hole, and we could see broad line region, narrow line region here, and an obscuring torus. So among the AGN, quasars are the most luminous ones, and if we could see through radio window, we could classify the quasars into two categories. One is the radio loud, which is a 10% of the total quasar population and which contains powerful radio jets, and another is the radio quiet quasars, which is a rest 90% of the total quasar population and which contains jets, but they are not as strong as the radio louds one. So, okay, let's move on. So, we could see an image of normal galaxy and an image of AGN. And if we look for the optical spectrum of a normal galaxy, we could see something like this. Here we can see that there is no emission lines at all in the spectrum, whereas we could see multiple number of absorption lines are there. And if we look for an optical spectrum of an AGN, we could see multiple number of emission lines. Some are broad and some are narrow. And and from now on, I'll be discussing only about the broad emission lines. Okay, so these are mainly the broad emission lines one could find in a spectrum of an AGN, and I'll be discussing only about the H beta and the MG2 line. And for my sample, I have selected quasars having FWHM greater than 15,000 km per second, and this FWHM or full width half maxima is called this length of emission line broadening, and this broadening actually occurs due to the bulk motion of broad line gas clouds and due to their high velocity motion. So that's why this FWHM is represented in the units of velocity, that is kilometer per second, we can see from here. So next is our sample has been taken from Shane et al. 2011 catalog, and if we plot for total number of quasars present in the Shane et al. Catalog, and if we see the distribution of volumetric luminosity and black hole mass distribution, we could see that for both the sample, radio louds are for both the distribution radio louds, and there is no such differences in the distribution of radio louds and radio quiets. Here this dotted blue line is represented the radio louds and the solid orange line is represented the radio quiets one. And so this was for the total number of sample present in Shane et al. Catalog. Now let's come to my sample. So SDSS DR7 contains 100,000 quasars. What Shane et al. 2011 did, they have cross-matched them with the VLA fast survey, and they have found this number of cross-match. And among them, these are the radio louds one and these are the radio quiets one. And as I am only looking for the H beta and MG2 sample, I have restricted my sample according to the redshift. And also we have done one more thing, we have checked the spectrum of the quasars manually and discarded those quasars which have some issues in their spectrum. So these are the number of H beta sample and MG2 sample we have found. And this is for our radio loud and this is for radiokites. And as I am only looking for HBL sample, that is the sample having FWHM greater than 15,000 kilometer per second. So this is my final sample for my work. For radio loud this number and for radiokite this number. Okay. So many surveys have shown that only 10% of the total quasar population is radio loud, but we don't know how they are consistent in different parameter spaces. And to check it, we first plotted the radio loud fraction, which is the ratio of the radio loud quasar by the total number of quasar with FWHM. And for both H beta and Mg2 sample, we could see that the radio loud fraction is increasing with FWHM. So which implies that the higher FWHM quasars are mostly radio louds. And to look more into it, we have selected those samples which are having higher FWHM and done our further analysis. So next we check for the volumetric luminosity distribution, and for both H beta and Mg2 we could see that the radio louds are having higher values than radioquites. Here also the radio louds are represented by the blue dotted line and orange solid line represents the radioquites one. So so this could be due to two reasons. So one could be that there could be selection biasness, and another could be the radio louds are actually intrinsically brighter than the radioquites one. These two could be behind this distribution, why we are getting this. So to check and to conclude anything, we further check for the redshift distribution. And for H beta, we could see that there is no such differences in the radio loud and radio quiet redshift distribution. Then from here, we can say that there is no selection biasness at all. So which implies that the radio louds are actually intrinsically brighter than the radio quiets one. And also for Mg2 sample, we could see that the radio loud are actually having slightly higher values than the radio quiets one, and which was expected because already we have stated that the radio louds are actually intrinsically brighter than the radio quiets one, and this Mg2 sample is actually higher redshift sample. So it was expected that the radio louds would be detected more in numbers. So from these two samples, we could conclude that the radio loud quasars are actually intrinsically brighter than the radio quiets one, and this could be behind a reason why we are getting more number of radio loud in the higher FWHM sample. Okay, next we check for the black hole mass distribution. Here also we have found that the radio louds are having higher values than the radio quiets one for both the H beta and Mg2 sample. And so from here we could see that the higher massive objects are likely more to be radio louds, that higher massive objects are producing more jets, more powerful jets. And here we can infer a correlation between the jet production and the black hole mass. Next, we check for the continuum luminosity distribution. This is the optical continuum luminosity distribution. And for here also, for both H beta and Mg2, we could see that the radio loud quasars are having higher values than the radio quiets one for both the H beta and Mg2 sample. And lastly, we check for the accretion rates distribution. And this accretion rates actually we calculated, and the previous properties were already there in the catalog, but this accretion rates we have calculated. And here also we could see that the radio loud quasars are having higher values than the radio quiets one. And as this continuum luminosity comes from the accretion disk, and here also accretion rates, we have checked for the accretion rates. From these two plots we can conclude that there could be a correlation between accretion disk and the jet production. Okay, so now let's come to the summary. So we have what we have done so far. So we have checked radio loud fraction variation with FWHM, and we could see that the radio loud fraction is increasing with FWHM. Next, for our sample HPL, we have checked the fundamental properties like volumetric luminosity, like black hole mass, like continuum optical continuum luminosity, and the accretion days. And for all of these fundamental properties, we could find that the radio louds are having higher values than the radio quiets one. And from the volumetric luminosity plot, we could conclude that the radio loud quasars are actually intrinsically brighter than radio quiets one. And from the black hole mass plot, we could conclude that the higher mass objects are expected to produce more powerful jets. So there could be possibly a correlation between black hole mass and jet production. And as the continuum luminosity, optical continuum luminosity comes from the accretion disk, and we have checked from this distribution, also from the accretion disk distribution, accretion rates distribution, we could conclude that there could be possibly a correlation between accretion disk and jet. So these are all actually fundamental results. To conclude anything confidently, we need more further analysis. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for listening.